Hey guys, welcome back. I think this is the Kubernetes workshop part 6. Now, in the previous video, we have seen about Docker networking. Now, I want to a little bit touch on Docker volume. I'm not going so heavy on that. That is not the aim of this Kubernetes workshop series, but in order to start the Kubernetes, you should understand the basics of Docker. So hence I have completed almost the previous 5 videos on various Docker containers, Docker image, Docker installation, Docker networking, Docker Swarm and Docker orchestration, couple of things. The only pending which I feel is Docker volume. So in this video I'm going to talk about Docker volume. How can you save the data? How can you make the data persistent or non-persistent? What do you mean by persistent and what do you mean by non-persistent? I want to show that in the example. So that is the video's agenda. Yeah. So now let me start an instance first. So I'm going to log into my console here. Logged in. Okay, going into the EC2 instance. Okay, going to instances and let me quickly launch an instance. Currently no instances are running, so I'm clicking on launch instance. So I'm just giving some name like Docker volume tutorial. Scroll down, choose Amazon Linux to AMI, T2.micro, and then proceed without a keypad, not recommended. I'm just editing the network settings. I would be in the default, and I'm going to choose my existing security group. If you guys want to know what is the security group here, you can go to the security groups on the left side, right click, open link in new tab. The security group which I've chosen is my website SG, which is nothing but this one. So if you click on this, you can see what are all the inbound rules I'm allowing. If you want, this is just a demo thing, so I'm just allowing everything. So you can also do the same thing. So launch an instance, and that's all. But here I want to add something else, advanced details. And when you click on advanced details, just scroll down, and rather every time which I do in my last videos, so I thought of doing something different, bootstrapping, which you guys already aware of it if you have seen my previous AWS workshop series videos. So here I'm gonna give win bash bang, then yum update -y, then yum install docker -y, then systemctl start docker. So what happens is, as soon as this install launches, it will do this, run this command, it will install the Docker, and then it will start the Docker. So that is the what it's going to do. So click on launch instance. So instances will be launched. So let's wait for that to come online. Yeah. So till then I'm pausing the video. Okay. So let's see whether the instances come up or not. Okay, great. Now it is running. I'm going to click on connect. Click on connect. Okay, the instances should be getting connected. Okay, now even if you run this command again, sudo yum update -y, it will just say like nothing has been marked for update, because we have executed this command in our user data section, which we call it as bootstrapping. Okay, and also if you type docker here, docker is already there. Yeah, so if you type docker -fnv, it will tell you what is a docker version, docker -version. Yeah, so it means we have bootstrapped, we have saved some time. So that's what it means. Okay, so another thing is I'm just moving into sudo su. I will be in the root user. So if you type systemctl status docker also, so it will be like this. Yeah, and if you type docker info, it will tell you all the details, like what is the networking, how many containers are running, and how many images, what is the server version, what is the storage driver, whether Swarm is active or inactive, which we have seen in our last video likewise. But the problem is, if you see you are in a root account. Yeah, you've logged in as a root account. Now if you hit exit, you would be in the ec2-user account. So if you type docker info, it will give you a permission error. You will not be able to execute any docker commands without adding sudo docker info. Yeah, so for this I think I have shown you this multiple times, but still, if somebody is newly watching this video, I want to make sure that they also understand. So what happens is you need to make sure that your ec2-user ID is being added to a group called Apache. So how will you see? cat/etc/groups. I'm sorry, cat/etc/group. So if you see, there is a group called Docker and no user ID is being added here after the colon. Yeah. So what I will do is sudo usermod -a-g for group addition, -a for adding, then Docker is a group and user ID is the ec2-user ID. So now I'm just exiting it out. Just do a refresh here. Okay, just refresh the screen. Just refresh it, and then you would be logging with ec2-user ID. So here if you type docker info again, see, it's working with the ec2-user ID. So now you can execute all sorts of docker commands. Okay, so without further ado, what we're going to do here is we're going to rather I explain you what is volume and how it has been done. Let me explain you with some examples so you can show. Okay, so docker run, I'm going to run a container. Yeah, -, I'm going to give C1 container 1 and then interactive mode. Then I'm going to use alpha and image, and I want to give shell command. So as soon as the container starts, if you see, I have logged in to this container and this is a shell prompt. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to create a data folder and one file called hello.txt. So what I'll do, make dir/data &&. I'm combining two commands, three commands in fact, cd data and touch hello.txt. So what I'm doing is I can execute one command separately. Rather, okay, if you guys are new, let's do this. Make dir data. So now if you type ls, so data folder is created, right? Now if you type cd/data, so you're in data folder. pwd, you're in data folder. Now I'm going to run this command, touch hello.txt. So now if you type ls, you will see hello.txt. So instead of executing three commands, so what I was about to do was, I was about to do like this, make dir/data &&, okay, cd/data &&, then touch hello.txt. So this is what I was trying to do, but rather I wanted to show this. That's it. Okay, cool. Now we have created a file called hello.txt, right? So here if you do ls data hello.txt, so it is there. Hello.txt is there. Even you can see like this, cd data, see, hello.txt is there inside this container. Okay, now I'm going to exit this container. Now container got exited out, and container is stopped if you go for docker ps-a. Now docker is, the container, the one which we created, hello.txt, it is here. So how will you see whether it is there or not? Again, if you remember docker exec, you have to do docker start and then F3E, enter. Now if you type docker ps, okay, now docker is started, the container is started. How do you log into the container? Docker exec -it F3E, and then if you type sh is the prompt which you're expecting to connect. So now if you type cd, you're inside the container. If you type data, then if you see, the file is there, yeah, which is good. Now as soon as you enter, as soon as you exit out, it's it's still running, which is good. ls, okay, perfect. Now what is next is docker ps, the next is docker, and then inspect F3E. So I want to inspect the container. When you run the inspect command, which you have seen in our network, and then the images and everything, so right click, copy. So open up a notepad++. So if you see this, Control V. Okay, now I want you to look something very carefully here. Okay, if you search for something called graph driver here, so there is a section called graph driver, and inside this there is a data, and inside this you have a couple of lines like lower dir, merge dir, upper dir, and work dir. The one which we are looking for is something called upper dir. Okay, var lib docker overlay 2, and this is the one. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll just copy this here, and let me go back to this. So cd, and then right click, paste as plain text. Okay, it says permission denied, so I'll just switch to the root user. Cd, paste as plain text. Okay, now where are you right now? You are in this lsfnlrt, so you got root and data. Now I want to go for data. Now see, cat hello.txt is there. Now how is this possible? So how is this possible is, as soon as you create a container, let me explain it in a diagram in a neat way. Okay, so here this is okay. Now here this is a host machine, right? Right. Sorry guys. Okay, perfect. So this is a host machine. Okay, so what we did was this is my host machine, and what I did was I installed Docker on that, and then we launched a container. Okay, now in this container, this is a container 1 C1. Okay, now in this container I've created a file called hello.txt. Now what happens is the same hello.txt will be available in the same host machine under a location called var lib docker, something like this. So that is what happens. So if you want to show you in a different diagram, so this is what happens. So here you have a container. Okay, this is C1 container, and this is a host machine. Okay, so when you create something over here, some file called hello.txt, even in the host also in a particular location called var lib docker will have the same file. Okay, now we are getting into the real problem. So now what is the problem? Yeah, the problem is, say for example, I want to go here. I'm going back here. Now docker ps is running, right? Now on a docker, I want to stop docker stop f3e ampersand then docker rm f3e. Now I'm gonna, you can't directly remove a running container. You have to stop it, and then you have to remove it. But yes, you can remove it forcefully as well, but this is the right procedure, so I'm just doing that. Now if you type docker ps, so nothing is there. But now if you remember, if you go back to this location where we are right now inside data, if you type pwd, we are here exactly. Yeah, now if you type ls, see the hello.txt is gone. There is no hello.txt. So which means the data is not persistent. Whatever data you're creating inside the container, if the container is removed, it means the data is gone. So this is very important about the container data. So data created in the container is not persisted. It's removed with the containers layer when the container is deleted. Okay. Now we will see the next one. Okay, so now we got it. Okay, so whenever if you're saving something inside the container, you cannot trust it. If the container is stopped or removed, if a container is removed, that is done. If it is stopped, it is there still. But if container is removed, the data is gone from the host as well. Okay, now the next one is we will see how volumes come into the picture when you're doing a data persistency. Now we have seen data is not persistent. Now we are going to see how data you can make it persistent. Yeah, so for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a Docker file. Yeah, so vi space Docker file. So, and then here just type from Alpine. I'm just getting the Alpine base image. Now you just type volume, VOLUME, volume. You put the open and close bracket, and then you put the, double quotes and then data and a small letter. Great. Next one is you put an entry point. So entry point is nothing but whenever a container gets started, it will start with this default command. Okay, so bin/sh. Okay, perfect. So volume done. Okay, volume we are okay. I will show you that. We can see it as an example, so don't worry. Yeah, so shift zzz done. So if you make sure that cat Dockerfile is there, yes, Dockerfile is there, which is good. Now the next thing is we're gonna build an image. Yeah, so Docker, you have to build, and then -t, you just give the tag and img1 dot. So now Docker is built successfully. So Docker ps, if you see, I'm sorry, Docker images. Yeah, so it pulled the Alpine image, base image, and then it pulled out of, it just built img1, which we gave. Okay, now I'm going to run a container. Okay, so how will you run a container? Docker run, and then hyphen name, then you give it as a C2, then hyphen IT interactive, then you just use the image img1, the one which from here. Okay, cool, enter. Now the container is running. Why it's going to the shell prompt? Because we have used the entry point. If you remember the entry point, we have given the entry point, and then in the bracket we have given /bin/sh. That's why as soon as the container is started running, it's going to the shell prompt. Okay, now what we're going to do here is let's do the cd. Okay, cd/data, and then if you type ls, nothing is there. Now I'm going to create a file called touchhello.txt. Okay, now if you type ls, yes, so inside this container you have this. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna exit out the container. Okay, so what you can do is okay, I just want to give you something real quick. If you exit out like this, if you type docker ps, the container is not running. Okay, but there is a trick here, guys. Okay, I'll show you what the trick is. Now let me go to docker ps -a. So there is one container which got exited out, correct? Now I'm gonna start the container, correct? So 894, enter. Now docker ps, now container is started and it is running, correct? Now I'm gonna getting inside the container. So what will you do? Docker exec -it, then you just give the container name. Okay, then I'm just giving the shell prompt, right? So you're in the shell prompt. Now what you have to do is, if you type exit now, again the container will exit out, but you don't want to do that. What I want to do is I want to make sure that the container is still running. So how will you exit out the container without typing exit? That's a question, right? So for that, let me enable the on-screen keyboard. Okay, what I want you to do is I want you to hold the control key and press the P and Q together. That's what I'm going to do. Control and then PQ. Okay, now if you type docker ps, see, container is still running. Okay, so this is the trick. You can exit the container, making sure it just remains running. So for that you have to use a control P and control Q combination for this, which I've shown this. Okay, cool. Now container is running, which is good. Now what we will do is we will inspect the container 2 now. So docker okay, docker ps, docker inspect, and then c2. Now scroll up, let me copy this. Copy and go here, control N. Okay, now in this C2 container inspect, which we have done, we are looking for something called volume here. We are not going to look for graph driver. We are looking something called mounts points, which is volume. Okay, now here what happens is, if you see this is clearly shows that you have the output shows that the volume defined in /data. Okay, is stored where it is stored? It is stored in here. Okay, so this is, see, this slash data is nothing but this is a container data, guys. Remember that this slash data is nothing but it's a container data. Let me draw it. Yeah, so this is nothing, I'm sorry, so this is nothing but this is a container data, okay, where we have created a slash data folder and we created the hello.txt. This one is the host data. Okay, remember that this one is what? Host data. So this is the container. So this is the container path, and this is the host path. Okay, remember, very clear. And how do you get this container path? Because we have mentioned this in Dockerfile. Okay, cool. Now let's do some experiment here. So Samir, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna stop the container, right? So we will go ahead and stop the container. Control C. Now if you type docker ps, yeah, so docker stop 894. I'm sorry, docker stop 894. Hit enter. Now the container will be stopped. Okay, and also we're gonna remove the container. I can run this in 2 commands that I forgot. I'm sorry. Now you have to docker rm 894, hit enter, it is done. Now if you type docker ps, nothing, docker ps -a, nothing, so no containers are running. So now what's going to happen with the data? So if you hear, so this one we stop the container, it means that this slash data is not present. But what about this? Is this available? So control C, if you do this, okay, cd space paste as plain text, enter. If you type ls-lrt, see hello.txt is still present. So this is persistent, but the previous one which we have seen, it is not persistent. I want you guys to do this with your hands on, only then you will understand. You have to compare this, only then you can understand which is persistent, which is not persistent, guys. Okay, now I wanna do another one. Okay, how can you define a volume at a runtime? So that we will see this. Okay, so here we go. So I want to go back. So let's run this command, docker run hyphen name, and I'm gonna give a container name as c3 -d to run in the background. And now I'm going to introduce a new new option, -v. -v means volume, and I want to map this -v volume data in Alpine OS and run the prompt sh-c, then ping 8.8.8.8. it's a Google DNS, and then /data/ping.txt. Okay, what exactly this command does, Samir? Please help me out. Okay, now let me copy this and then let me paste it in a notepad++. So now here, if you see this, so what happens is, so these commands you guys know. So what these commands does is, this is nothing but it will run a container. Yeah, it will run a container called c3. Good. Now what -d will do? -d is nothing but daemon mode, or it will run the container in background. It will not exit out. Okay, now the next one is, what is -v, Samir? -v means create or map a volume. Yeah, now what does this /data mean? /data means you create, or you're saying to docker command to create /data inside the container. Okay, this is done. Now sh-c is nothing but, in order to run any Linux commands, you can use this format. Okay, so following, now you're saying inside the code ping space 8.8.8.8. so what is ping space 8.8.8.8? so if you go here, if you type, for example, ping space 8.8.8.8, so what is this? This is nothing but this is a Google DNS server. If you type 8.8.8 DNS server, so it's a public DNS Google thing, Google public DNS. Okay, cool. I'm not going much into that. So we will get a response like this when you're pinging. Now the next one is ping space. Now what is this greater than symbol? For this you should have some basic Linux idea. So please check my Linux for DevOps engineers videos. So what exactly this is doing is, okay, so whatever output you're getting, right, whatever output you're getting, okay, so these outputs, I'm just replacing the commands like this. So these outputs, okay, whatever outputs you're getting, these outputs will go to slash data. Where is the slash data is coming from? The slash data is nothing but it is this one, this slash data inside the container, and you create, and you're saying docker container, docker command to create a ping.txt file automatically. That's what you're going to do. Okay, cool. Now let's do that. So how can you do that, Samir? Here we go. If you do that command ping, but before that I want you to make sure docker ps nothing is running. Good. So let's do this command, guys. So the command is like this. Copy this. Okay, I hope you're clear with that. So enter. Now you are getting a container running, docker ps, which is good. Now what it is doing is it's trying to ping the results, and then it will put those results over here. Now how can you see Samir? Obviously what you can do, docker exec -it, then you just b26, then you just type sh, you are inside the container. So cd data ls, see ping.txt is done. Now if you type cat ping.txt, so it will tell you all the whatever I explained to you, the replies it will copy here. And there is another command called tail, the Linux command tail -f means follow, and then okay, tail -f ping.txt. So this will be the real-time things. Okay, so the host is trying to ping, and it just pushes the results to the container, this file called hello.txt. Okay, I hope I'm making myself clear. If I'm not making myself clear, please let me know. I will try to put the comments. I will just try to re-explain it in another video. Yeah, so this is another way of defining a volume at a runtime. Okay, now if you see this, so Samir, what is the use of this? Yes, the use of this is you can, okay, one more thing, you can inspect the container, guys. That is also I forgot to tell you. So you can inspect the container here, and just so here if you see this, docker ps, docker inspect, and then b266. Let's see how this inspect looks like. So just scroll down, control C, copy, then control N. If you see this, now let's go to this one. Yeah, so see this slash data. Okay, now if you go back here, okay, now I'm going back to this one, cd, paste as plain text, so ls, see, you got a ping text.txt here as well. So this is another way of setting up your volume during the runtime. Okay, there are three ways which we have seen now. Okay, let's try another way. Okay, another way is, say for example, so Samir, can I stop this container? Can I say you stop the container, or you can remove the container also, and then we will see whether we have the ping.txt in the host file or not. Okay, so ls, see, we have the ping.txt file. So even if you type ping.txt, yeah, we are getting the files. Okay, we are seeing the entries. Or if you type if you remove the container, what will happen, Samir? Do you still have that file? Yes, it is there, cat ping.txt. Yo, it's there. So which means stopping and removing the container will obviously, it will stop the ping command, but the data is persisted. Data will still be there. You guys can give it a try. Okay, now the next thing is, Now, the next thing I want to discuss about is about the command called Docker volume. If you type Docker volume, you can use various commands combining Docker volume. You can use create a volume, you can inspect a volume, you can list the volumes, prune all unused local volumes, you can remove one or more volumes. Okay, now I'm going to create a volume. So but here, if you see, before creating, if you type docker space volume space ls, it will tell you the default volumes whatever you have. Okay, so we can, we don't need to dig much about that, but what I'll do is docker volume create, and then I'm gonna create a volume hyphen name. I'm gonna create a volume called HTML. Just hit enter. If you type docker volume ls, okay, so there is a volume called HTML is created. Okay, now the next thing is what I'm planning to do is before we do that, see, this inspect command will work everywhere: containers, image, volumes, network. Yeah, so docker volume inspect, and then just hit HTML. See this? It was created and it is a local, and the mount point is this one. So where is this mount point, Samir? So if you right click, if you copy, then if you go here, cd space slash, paste as plain text, see, you're getting this ls. So you don't have any data, I believe, so nothing is there. Okay, now we are going to run a container, and that container will be running on to this volume. Okay, so we are going to mount it, right? So for that, what we're going to do here is so I'm in this directory, irrespective of any directory, no problem. Now docker run. Okay, I'm going to run this hyphen name, and I'm going to run a container called www, and hyphen d is to run the daemon mode or background mode, and hyphen p is for port mapping. So first one is host port container port. These things I have explained it very neatly in my Kubernetes workshop series, part 1 and part 2 or part 3. You can verify that. So hyphen p, and this is a host port and container port 80, and hyphen v. I'm just running, I'm just mapping this volume on the go. Yeah, hyphen v, and html, okay, /usr /share /nginx share html, and then nginx is image. So you can ask me, Samir, what the hell is happening in this command, right? So copy, I'll just open it here, control N. Now if you see this, so Samir, these things I understood. Yeah, these things, what exactly these does, these things will create a container. I'll just do like this. We'll create a container called www. Perfect. Now what about hyphen d, which we've already seen? Hyphen d is for running the container in background mode, which is good. What is hyphen p? Hyphen p is nothing but port mapping. Okay, so what do you mean by port mapping? Your format should be host port container port. So whenever traffic hits on the host port, it will be transported or diverted to the container port. That's what it's going to happen. So for that, what we have done, 80 is a host port, 80 is a container port, 80 is a default port for Apache or any web server. This in here we are using nginx. Okay, now after that, what is hyphen v? It's nothing but it's a volume mapping. Okay, now what is this html /usr share /nginx /html? Now if you see in the previous command, we have created something called, called docker volume ls. If you see, we have created something called volume html. So this is nothing but this is the volume, this html is the volume, and this one is nothing but it's a default location for your web server, for nginx web server. For example, if you're taking Apache is coming under var www.html. Okay, this is the default location as soon as you install the Apache web server. Just like this, the default nginx web server file location is usr share nginx html, which will be there inside the container because we are going to use the nginx web server image here. I hope you're clear. Cool. Even you can Google it also, default NC, default Nginx path. If you scroll down here somewhere, yeah, see this one more region path is changed to USR share Nginx HTML. Okay, cool. Great guys, so let's start our next thing, that is we have to execute the command. So how do you execute the command? So this is a command here. Let's copy, come here, paste it, right click, and then paste as plain text. Okay, yeah, so let's hit enter. Now we're running an Nginx web server container. Let's do Docker PS. Okay, here we go. So here we go, container ID Nginx, and this is a port mapping. So from whichever IP into the host port, it will direct the traffic to the 80 into the container port, and this is also the IPv6 format. Okay, perfect. Now what's next, Samir? Curl ifconfig.me. If you do this, I got my public IP, so copy. And then if you go here, and this is my host port 8080, right? So http://:8080. Oh, sorry. Here we go. /numlog 8080. Hit enter. Okay, now we got the Nginx container running and it's publicly available. Okay, perfect. Now the thing is, if you remember this command, what it says is from the HTML volume, then this is the container path where you have the files. Say for example, if you type ls, see this, you're getting these two files, index.html and 50x.html. okay, let me clear it. If you type pwd, so var lib docker volume HTML data. Samir, how did I get this? This you got it when you created docker volume create HTML, if you remember, just previously 10 minutes back. So if you type docker volume ls, the HTML volume is created and you got this path already got created. Okay, now if you type docker volume inspect, then if you type HTML, this one, if you hit enter, you are getting this path. And where are we right now? If you type pwd, you are on the same path. See? Okay, now inside this, as soon as you run the container with that command docker container run this command, so what happened was it just installed the Nginx and it does put all these index.html file here as well. So what is this cat index.html, Samir? Which is nothing but the same thing. See this? The HTML, the one which you're seeing right now. Yeah, this is in the view. If you go here, view page source. So the same thing is here. Sorry, the same thing. It's here in this cat index.html. Now say for example, if you see, if you change something here, ls-l, if you see vi index.html, and I don't want these things. Say for example, I'm just deleting the entire thing and I'm just mentioning like so your web page is hacked, something like this, save it. Now what happens? Now if you refresh it, see, you're getting your web page is hacked. So what we have done here in the diagrammatic presentation, I want to tell you something. So what we have done exactly is, so we have the host machine, okay, and there is a container running here. Okay, now inside the host machine, what we have done here is, so obviously we have the Docker installed, correct? Now this is the host machine and this is a container and this is the host machine. Inside the host machine, what we have done is we have created something called volume, the new volume called HTML. Okay, so let's put a nice diagram, guys. Sorry. So here we go. Okay, the nice diagram is going to be like this. So say for example, this is a container. Okay, the container is C1 example, and this is my host machine where you have Docker installed, obviously. Now here I'm creating a volume called HTML. Okay, so when you create a volume called HTML, what happens is it will have its own location called var lib. So just like this, guys. So if you go here, see, you have something called var lib this one, var lib docker volumes HTML. You'll get this data. So this will get created. Copy, come here, let's do this. So you will get this data like this, var lib docker HTML data. Now in the container we have installed the Nginx one, right? So for that you will get this one. In the container we have got this one. Now what happens is, whatever files you have inside this or inside this, it's all in sync. So that's what we are going to say. We are going to tell you on this. Now if you see this, we have modified what? We have cat index.html. We have modified your web page is hacked. Now you are trying to refresh the page here. It says your web page is hacked. Correct. Now say for example, let's do the other way. Docker ps container is running. I want to get inside this Docker container. So b219 sh. Now you are inside a container. Now if you see our path, the Nginx path, the default Nginx path is what? usr share nginx.html. So cd usr share nginx html. Sorry. Oh, sorry guys. HTML. Now if you type ls, you'll get the same file what we have got in our host machine. Correct. Now if you type cat index.html, see, your web page is hacked. Now if you change it for some reason, va index.html, okay, va is not there. Maybe what I'll do here is nano is there. Okay, nano is not also there. So what I'll do is echo, this page is awesome, something like this. Okay, now I want to move it to index.html. Okay, so that is done. Now now if you do ls, okay, if you type cat index.html, so this page is awesome. Then the line has been changed, the line has been updated. Now if you come here, if you refresh it, see, this page is awesome. You got it. Now if you exit out the container, so if you type ls, if you type cat index.html, here also it is changed. Just so see the relationship between this volumes which you have created. So as soon as you create a volume, there is a default path would be created in the host machine, and it will have a communication to your container path. So that's what I want to say on this video, guys. I think we are good with this volume concept. I don't think not much required, but just understand how this works, because maybe in Kubernetes we would be exploring more on this volume, so we can't go basics over there when I'm explaining the Kubernetes. So just make sure that you play around with these things, guys. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching this. In the next video, surely we will start with the Kubernetes on how to installation, what are the various ways of installation. We will talk about the Kubernetes architecture and everything. Thank you.